Shalom. I'm going to start by giving all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Makakadash. Excuse me. Now, honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Salutation to the awful elect that is pushing its word in the four corners, the highways and byways. Right? Once again, all praises, glory, and honor is due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Makakadash. Right, so, hey, first off, I say Salakia, you got a little bit of a cold, right? But you could, won't say a dry cough, right? But, Salakia about that. Nevertheless, this lesson is going to be based on, an update here in Guyana, all right? Because as of today, Monday, what is it, the 13th of April, 2026, right? We're starting to feel the effects of the war, because today there's been a gas shortage, all right? You could see the beginning of a gas shortage, right? And it's just been chaos. Right now, a few places as came out and said, when I say places, I mean, gas station franchises, said the reason for the shortage is because they're experiencing delays with the shipment, right? In terms of, the ships, something about the ships being anchored and, some bullshit like, right? But, we know for a fact that this is the effect of the wars, all right? But they're trying to play it off. They're trying to not cause public panic, all right? But it's already too late because, these people over here in Guyana already panicking, all right? There are several videos going around on social media on social media with person lining up to get gas, all right? And most person is getting a crazy amount of gas, because they're expecting this shortage to last a while, right? And that in itself could actually lead to a shortage, right? Again, I'm Salakia for the constant coughing, but the more I speak, it's like the drier my throat gets, and causing me to cough, all right? But nevertheless, I'm trying to get through this lesson, as quick as possible. All right, let me just play some clip here.
Export time with all.
Right, so this is someone else's video from Facebook, right? And just pause the the audio, but this is it, right? You can see there's a long line leading to the gas station. All right, people is wrapped around the car now. And everybody is filling the tanks up and filling up additional stuff, right? I just came off of work and it's the same thing. I came off like 8:30. It's currently 9:20 p.m. So like an hour ago, and it's the same thing, right? And this video was uploaded, let's see when, right, probably a little bit earlier of this evening, right? But it's been like this all day actually. It's starting getting better in the evening, right? Nevertheless, the scripture say what? 2 Ezra 6 and verse 20. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. And 2 Ezra 6 and verse 22. It says, and suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, and the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. Right? And this is a perfect example of what we're seeing right now. Right? Because yesterday everything was fine. They wasn't limiting the gas of how much you could purchase or anything. Right? At least to the best of my knowledge. Right? I think people say that as of late last night, certain places start saying they don't have gas. Now, in less than 24 hours, you get this chaotic scene. All right? Right? Which would show you, for one, this place could go down at any time. All right? It'll show you that these prophecies don't lie. All right? Because Guyana is praised internationally, all right, as one of the most self-sustaining countries, all right, in terms of food, food reserves, energy reserves, resources, natural resources. Guyana is such a rich place in terms of all these things, yet still we could see right? So there's Guyana is supposed to be this model country, that every other country should look up to. And then we got this, that just happened today, which is a mess, which partly too, these people over here is responsible for it, all right, because, they start panic buying, all right, because normally when people would just buy a $5,000 in gas, a $3,000, now people are going and fill up the tanks, fill 2, 3, 4 pails, all right. Some people are using water bottles. It's just chaotic, all right. And these people trying to stay ahead, all right. Instead of saying, hey, gas too expensive or whatever, let me catch bus, or even walk, for a cup of morning. These people prefer to buy a set of gas to put down. All right, buy a set of gas to put on, and just to keep these these comforts that they enjoying, in terms of the vehicle, right? And hey, the next thing you gotta look out for is food prices going up. All right, and that is where the real problem is gonna come, right? That is when the real problem is gonna come, because hey, Trump just blocked the Strait of Hormuz, right? So anybody that Iran was allowing to pass through, Trump is essentially blocking them. All right, so if ships don't get to pass through him and his allies, all right, then nobody can pass through. Hey, and what all this is actually doing, right? Since the US dollar is backed by oil, is actually driving up the price for oil. It's driving up the price for oil, and since everybody essentially has to buy oil with the US dollar, it's driving up the value of the US dollar. All right, so really and truly, this man in in a desperate position, and they say, hey, desperate people, is do desperate things. All right. So in my opinion, Trump will be willing to keep this war up as long as possible. That's why you're seeing all these peace talks and so forth collapsing. Right? It's not out of coincidence. It's by design. Right? Even though Trump and the United States is taking some losses in the war, he already gave a speech saying that, hey, that is what is going to happen, right? But it's for the benefit of his country, right? Which it kind of is. Right, so in my opinion, Trump will be willing to keep this war up as long as possible, because it actually would strengthen the US dollar, right? Second Esdras 16 and verse 21. Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth that they shall think themselves to be in good case. Right? Because before this whole thing, right, gas is actually, at least over here in Guyana, it's been the cheapest it's been in a while. All right. Now the prices are starting to go up back. All right. But before all this, gas was extremely cheap. And people were saying, hey, Guyana is the fastest growing economy and this, that, and the third, right? So now, how you getting, the fastest growing economy and the world's only self-sustaining country in terms of food and all these bullshit, all right, going through something like this, right? and Guyana already struggles when it comes to energy, right? Because they're always getting blackouts, rolling blackouts like every day, all right? And it's crazy because Guyana, actually produces, all right, from natural resources all the materials that we need for to harness energy, all right? So, what is it really that we doing, all right? It says, behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth that they will think themselves to be in a good case. Even then evils shall grow upon the earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. Right, because this what's happening in it right now is an evil, all right? It's a bad time, all right? This sword, famine, and great confusion. Yeah, because people was almost fighting at the gas stations and all these kind of things, all right? But hey, we as the prophets, we already saw these things coming, and we are, the Most High give us the spirit on how to react to them, all right? So we won't panic. We know that the Most High got us, right? So see, these people, they don't know. They don't know who got them, all right? Which nobody really got them, right? So that was just a little update, here on the Guyanese shores, all right? Guyanese lands, so-called, right? So hopefully that was edifying through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakodash. I'm honest to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. I say shalom.